folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. So today, I've been looking forward to this one. So this is one of the latest kits from ICM. In this case, it's actually it's some old tooling and some new tooling combo to make a new kit. It's the JU88 P-1 tank buster. Oh my lord! And it's got this fantastic artwork on the front of it. Isn't it gorgeous? Well, as soon as I saw that, I thought I've got to have this one. I'm going to see this. It's going to be brilliant. So, it's basically a Pak 40 cannon anti-tank gun crammed into a JU88. It's a little bit like the concept of the Tetsi Mosquito, actually. Same idea. And of course the Henschel as well that the Germans did. Not sure how many of these there were, but I'm sure it'll tell us all the details we need to know. So, let's zoom you in. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. This and the Marauder I've been looking forward to, I really have. Marauder's not far away, I'm told. Anyway, we've got two versions. We've got one at Rechlin, which is the it's kind of the R&D site for the Germans, Luftwaffe, wasn't it? So it's probably been developed at Rechlin, I suspect. And then it's been used on the Eastern Front in 1943. Two different options there. On the other side, we've got a bit of a write-up, which I've noticed that ICM I think they're doing this really well now. You can read it better because they've taken on board some of the comments about dark print on a dark background, which is almost impossible to read on some of them. They've also kept it much briefer. They just do a brief discussion here, and then inside they give you the whole full history. I think this is perfect. I think I get it just right now. And it says here, well, first of all, it's kit number 48228, and I say this is just released. It says here, model of the JU88 in the heavy attack aircraft version with a 75mm cannon in the lower firing point. So this is basically a Panther gun, isn't it? Panther or a Mark IV Panzer? Well, they're both the same, can't remember. Anyway, it's a tank gun, basically. One of the most powerful anti-tank aircraft of the Second World War. Model has a distinctive nacelle with a Pak 40L cannon installed. Different variants of the nose and guns in the kit. Decals with markings of special Luftwaffe units of tanks fighting. And it's got 98 parts. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we take a look at this? So I've been looking forward to this. I've got to be honest, I haven't opened it yet. Whoops. You can tell. Whoops. Well, I seem to get worse at it as I go on. I don't know what's going on. Come on, there's only a bit of tape. How hard can it be, really? No, I haven't done that one properly. There we go. It doesn't want to come out today. It's definitely clear though. We've got one of these infamous ICM really tricky ones to open. It's not budging. I can't get it to budge. Talk amongst yourselves, I won't be long. It's coming slowly. Look at it. It's when they're very tight, they sort of lock up at one end, and then you release it and then the other end locks up. We're getting there, we're almost there. There we go. Okay, it wasn't too bad. I've had worse. Right. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Right then, let's have a look. Ooh, it's a lot of plastic, it's a lot of big sprues in there. Box is very full. Let's see what we've got here. So, the write-up. In the summer of 1942, a decision was made to convert a small batch of JU88 A4 bombers into anti-tank versions. Later they received the designation JU88 P-1. In the large ventral gondola of these aircraft was a 75mm Pak 40L anti-tank gun, also known as the BK 7.5. With an electro-pneumatic loading system, the gondola in an extreme situation could be dropped using pyrotechnic devices. So in other words, if they got into a dogfight and they were, because of the weight of it, they could just jettison it. Gosh, that's quite a big commitment, isn't it? And it goes on to say, initially the nose of the aircraft remained glazed like a regular JU88 bomber, but the test result shows that the glass could not withstand the action of gases during the shot. The blast shattered the glass. Therefore, the JU88P was later modified with a nose section devoid of glass, borrowed from the JU88C fighter, and the muzzle brake was also changed. By September 1943, 18 copies of this aircraft had been produced. Some of them fell on the Eastern Front as part of the Versuchskommando für Panzerkampfung. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that means, even though I do speak a bit of German. Subsequently, 6 JU88 P-1s were transferred to the Hindenburg Bombing Squadron. Kampfgeschwader 1 Hindenburg. Okay. Interesting stuff. Right, it says that there is a paint kit available 3014 if you want to go in for this. And we've got some lovely decals, complete with very sensible and tastefully done ability to create the swastika if you wish. And why on earth Airfix and others, Revell included, cannot do this, I do not know. It is not a swastika until you make it one, so there is nothing wrong with that. And they're doing it brilliantly, and there's quite a lot of stencils in this kit, I've got to tell you. And we've also got some instrumentation decals here. So this is ICM's own decals, and they all look rather nice. I seem to recall that when I used them last, they weren't necessarily the stickiest ones, but they were okay. They were okay. Better than my recent experiences with either Eduard, less said about that the better, or indeed the replacements. I got Tecmod, which weren't that brilliant. Tecmod had the opposite problem. They wouldn't come off the backing paper. At any temperature, at any dwell length of time in the water, just refused to come off. You needed to have the rubber gloves just to get the grip to get them off. It's terrible. Anyway, right, let's zoom in. Looking forward to this. Let's have a look. So there's quite a few parts of the variant we're not going to use here. So they are blanked out in the sort of salmony pink colour. Most of the other parts you will use, of course. Again, quite a few on the opposite page you won't use. Anyway, we'll zoom you in and let's have a look at these instructions. So we start with the bit inside of the fuselage, basically the walls of the fuselage around the cockpit and canopy area, building up with some instrumentation, and then there's a seat that has to go in here. Then we've got a bulkhead which has to go behind the cockpit area, and we have got, I'm just looking what that is, it's like a cooling fan almost, isn't it? We've got the rear gear leg going in quite early, more of the sidewall sort of interior going in there, putting in our instrumentation decal here on the instruments, and then that seat looks very, very flimsy. I've just noticed. Seen this? That doesn't look very substantial to me, does it? Wow. You know, we've seen World War One, you know, ammunition trucks that have got this opulent seat, and this is a flying machine that looks like a deck chair. Oh, God, I've never noticed that before. Okay. Anyway, zooming back out. So, yes, bring your two fuselage halves together then. Excuse me. And then we're going to build up our lower central fuselage and inner wing section here. And, excuse me, yawning. Still not caught up on my sleep, folks. I lost a lot of sleep when I was out. Now we've got a much better looking seat with a headrest even, so this is interestingly, yeah, this is I think going to be, I was going to say, is that the bomb aimer or the, these seats that we're now building up look far more substantial than the deck chair we just talked about. So those are going to go in and be mounted into the floor there. That gets brought up, so I think it's almost like an engineer's. So these two more substantial seats is for the pilot and the gunner, and I think it's like a co-pilot stroke engineer's, like a temporary seat, isn't it? It may be for takeoff and landing. Then we've got our elevators and our vertical tail, vertical stabiliser going in. You've got elevators being brought together with the horizontal stabilisers. Then you've got your top and bottom wing going together here. And then all these wings and tails are all being brought together. Then we've got the rudder coming in, nice rudder surface, and you've got some flaps also being created. So you get your flaps, your ailerons all going in, which is great. You've got lots of control surfaces. So I presume if you wanted to, you could pose them if you really wanted to. Then we've got our main gear, which is quite substantial on the JU88. Quite chunky looking gear it is. That's all coming in here and being mounted in, complete with retraction actuators. Over on the other side, now we're going to build up your engines. And we've got our, I think it's a BMW engine in these, if memory serves. Tell us that? Not. Or is it UMO engine? It might be UMO. My memory's failing me there. But you're going to build up your engines and put your engine bearers on. Then you're going to mount those obviously in the nacelles. The exhaust going down the side. Bring the other sides of the nacelles in together. And then you're building up the nacelles completely with the cowling and the exhaust cooling flaps. Doing that for both sides. Then you're going to bring in your nacelles and mount them underneath. Then you've got this nose option where you've got the glasshouse nose or the solid nose. So obviously putting the big cannon in, you're going to need the solid nose. Then we've got our spinners and props going in. You've got your rear gunners, I think it's an MG42 on these, I think it is. And then we've got our main canopy coming in, props and spinners going on here. And then we're going to build up our great big cannon. This is the business end of this kit, isn't it? Your Pack 40 cannon going together here. Mounting complete with its feeder system for the ammunition. And that's going to be mounted into this gondola and then popped underneath the nose in this assembly here. And a huge great pod, isn't it, really? It seems to be open at the back end. Is that completely open? Oh no, it does have glass on it, it's okay. It just doesn't have the glass put on at this stage, it looks like it's wide open. Then we've got our conventional guns going on the back, rearward firing guns for the underside gondola, and your main wheels and tyres coming on. The rear tail wheel doors coming in here. Then we've got over here the main doors for your main gear going on as well. Then you've got the canopy. Oh, there's a split canopy, I don't like that. Ouch. Okay, there's a split canopy, see what I mean? And you've got canopies, you've got exhausts. No, it's not exhaust, it's the gun barrel. Different types of gun barrel. Oh wow, different types of venting on the barrel toward the muzzle. Interesting. 2 variants, look. That's very cool. And then that's it. You have completed your mother of all yunkers, really. And then you've got to do all the millions of masks. Okay, it's not a million, it's 65. Still quite a lot of masks, though, isn't it? Oh, that's going to be a little bit painful. I think you need to get a mask set for it, don't you? Anyway, we've got the 2 different variants. We've got the Recklin variant, which I think is where these were developed. And as I mentioned, you've got the, quite similar really, in terms of paint job, Eastern Front version there. Yeah, there's not much difference between them really at all, is there? So there we have it. So that's our destructions. It looks good, doesn't it, actually? It looks good. Now, I'm not familiar with the JU88 from ICM. I haven't seen any variant of it before. So it'll be new to me. Be interesting to see how clean the moulding is. But we'll see. Got to say, got a good vibe about this one. The only bad vibe I've got is whether I can get it back in the bag again. I've had a lot of trouble with that lately. Real problems. Some of their kits just do not want to go back in. There, we seem to have lost our sticky bits come off. They reached the little bag. Anyway, starting with small sprue here. Right, here we go. Let's have a look at this. I think this is going to be a nice kit. Right, here we have a small sprue with the. This is the guns. So this is your various machine gun mountings for the gunner's positions. and the mounting port that they go through. So you've got one at the top and you've got a couple at the back underneath. Those look pretty nice, don't they? They're very clean. So no flash there. Then we have got some of the more meaty elements. Now I didn't actually check on scale mates, I've got to confess, the age of the actual tooling. I think it's fairly recent now, and certainly looking at this it looks very recent. Look at the quality here, look at this. Look at the standard of this prop. That's nicely moulded, and they've gone and put the sprue contact gate point in just the right position, non-critical spot, yeah? So you end up with a beautifully moulded, lovely looking propeller. Look at that. Well done ICM, that's really cool. Nice spinners. They're awfully light. They really remind me of the Mosquito spinners actually. Very similar, aren't they? And then we've got our tail. We've got our nacelles here for the engines. And on the other side, and then we've got the back plates for the engine mounting, and then we've got our other beautiful propeller over here. They've done these propellers really nicely. 10 out of 10 for that. Then we've got our rudders, and yeah, that is a really nice sprue, and no flash or concerns there at all. All good, he says. There is some flash in the bag, so it fell out, but that's alright. It's just that the frame. We don't mind that. Second one, we have now got, here's your alternate nose. So this is the sort of shatterproof version of the nose, solid nose. And then you've got your, this is the gondola exit for the actual, the cannon itself, where the barrel comes out at the front. Moulding quality here is excellent, I've got to say. Very, very, very good. Here are your alternate cannon muzzles, or barrel I should say really, barrel and muzzle. Two alternative versions. It's like one exits all round, and one's got these very big, almost like a vent, like an exhaust down the side, multiple exhausts. Very odd. And then we've got our the underside, the mounting for the gondola, central section of the lower fuselage. Look at the detail here, look at the panel lining, isn't it beautiful? Really nice. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. And then over here we've got, that's the side of the gondola. So this is basically all the gondola and the gun section, all on one sprue. That's really cool. Okay. Put in there. Then we have got some clear parts. Okay, these are separate clear parts. So this is, I'm taking it this is the unique clear parts for this this version, where you've got this the rear window of the gondola, and keeping with most of ICM's recent clear parts, it's very, very nice. Look how crisp that is. It's beautiful. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of distortion, but it's a real bubble, isn't it? So it's very minimal, to be honest. It looks lovely and clear and crisp. I like it. More than good enough, that is. In there. Oops. That's that one. Then we've got a couple that are duplicate, in fact. On this duplicate we've got basically the engines. So we've got our engine bearers, and we've got the main block here. And we've got the top of the cylinder heads and the engine bearers to mount the engine at the side. Supercharger. Lots and lots of small parts go together to form the engine. We've also got some bombs. I don't think you're supposed to use the bombs in this particular variant, but they're there if you want to. So you get everything in the kit, and you get some very nice machine guns. And lots of small parts, sway braces for the bombs, etc. And your exhaust system is over here, exhausts. Very, very nice. I'm liking it a lot so far. Haven't seen anything I haven't liked. I think this might get better. I had this horrible feeling it was going to be quite old school, like we had with that other Junkers, the one that was the part of the Mistel. It just wasn't quite up to date, you could tell. And there were some of the older parts that sort of gave their age away, but not here. This looks brand new. The tooling looks bang up to date. Look at the quality here. Look at these flaps and ailerons here. Very nice. And we've got our various components for the undercarriage, actuation legs, etc. Another one of the guns, I think that is there. And it's got a retraction system for the main legs. And then we have got the seats I was talking about. Some are more luxurious than others. And various parts of the gear here. Actuation system for the gear. Main gear legs are here. And again, some beautifully fine parts. Crisply moulded like Tamiya almost, yeah. Very, very nice. Absolutely superb. Then we have the main clear parts, which we're going to take a good look at now. Some of these you won't use, of course. Some you will. Let's have a nosy at them. There we are. Oh, these are nice. These are really nice. So these parts at the extreme left you won't be using, because that's the front glass. Obviously that doesn't get used in the Tank Buster version, but there's plenty of other bits that we are going to use, including the sort of this bubble here, which is for the rear mounted gun of the cockpit. And then you've got your main canopy cockpit glass here. There's quite a lot of glass. This is where all the masking comes in, of course. It's going to be a challenge. Gosh, there's lots of it, but it's very nice, isn't it? It's lovely and crisp and sharp. Yeah, I like that. Nothing not to like there, really. Looking good. Lovely. Next we have now okay, so this is where we have some parts we wouldn't use. So now you've got the lower fuselage centre section, which you wouldn't use because this doesn't accommodate the gondola. The gondola is much bigger, you remember on the other one. There's a great big cutout, so you wouldn't use that part. But you've got here your main fuselage sides. And that is really nicely finished. It's even got moulded in these the UHF radio aerials. That's nicely done. Just be careful you don't break them off though. They do look a tad delicate, don't they? Mm-hmm. And then we've got the bulkhead. You have there the instrument panel. Over here we've got the other side of the fuselage. And then we've got our horizontal stabilisers and the elevators. Again, nicely engraved, panel lining is lovely. No problems at all. No problems at all. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Very nice sprue. Very nice sprue, that one. I wonder if I can get it back in the bag. That's the real acid test, isn't it? It's one of the really big ones. In that way. There we go. And then, just a couple of sprues left. We've got the wing sprue. We'll do that one first. The wing sprue, which I think is one of the older parts of the kit actually. But it looks nice. You can tell it just doesn't quite have that same finesse on the surface. But it's not a problem in any shape or form. It's absolutely fine. Good detail, good panel lines. It just has a slightly different finish. You can just sort of tell it's from a different batch, so to speak. But it's nice. All the detail you need is there. And as you know, you get lovely flaps and you get elevators. There's no problem with that. And then on this one, the final sprue, in fact, again, this is where we have one or two parts which we may not use. I think including the props, because it's a different prop design. Should have got that the right way around. But either way, again, they've beautifully moulded them in the way that they've thought about where the contact gate point goes for the sprue. It's in a non-critical place. Although it is actually, I'm saying that, you can tell it's a slightly older skill because this is actually, it is just on the blade and it isn't on those, the slightly blunter looking ones which I was showing you at the beginning, which I think are the ones you'll use for this model. So you can see the evolution in thinking, can't you? Here we've got wheels and tyres. And you've got very nice looking tail wheel. That's really meaty, isn't it? Excuse me. It's all been moulded in one piece, look. And then we've got our horizontal stabilisers, we've got our tail, rudder. Sorry, not horizontal stabilisers, the tail. And then the rudders. And again, that's probably not going to be used because that's a different version. And then you've got over here, you've got the mosquito looking style of almost like a rotol spinner. It isn't obviously, but it just looks like it. And there's just a tiny hint of flash on these tyres, I noticed. So this is one of the older early generation sprues from the original kit, I think. But again, most of this you're not going to use anyway. So I think a good deal of this won't be used apart from the wheels and tyres actually. I think most of it will be the alternatives. So, I don't think I'll be knocking it a point off because there is a little tiny bit of flash, and because most of those parts are actually not used in this variant. It's just that they've got the wheels and tyres, so they've just spewed that out as one of the old, those two sprues I'm sure are the older generation from the original kit. So I wouldn't let that put you off in any shape or form because it's kind of not relevant really. You're not going to use most of those parts, just a handful of them, and the better ones at that. So, I have to tell you, I was looking forward to this kit, but I knew that it was partly older and partly new. It made me really nervous, I've got to be honest. I was super nervous about that, and it made me think, well, we're probably going to end up in one of these situations where some of it will look quite crude and I won't like it, and that's not the case actually. It's not the case at all. It is much better than I thought. You can clearly see most of the critical parts that you're going to use. Doesn't want to go in, does it? Just bear with me, just indulge me for a second because I seem to have more luck when I do this on camera than when I do it off camera. Fight for hours when I finish the vid. There we go. Right, so we put tape on that because we've lost our sticky. Will it go back in its box? You know what? It will. Good for you. So in summary, one or two of the older parts just not relevant, and the vast majority of what you're going to be using are brand new, up to date, new tool, and I'm really impressed by it. It's much nicer inside than I thought it was going to be. I had this negative nagging feeling I was going to be disappointed by it, and I'm not. I'm not at all. I think overall I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. I think that's an absolute corker. It's a big old beast as well, isn't it? Some nicely moulded parts there, and something with a bit of presence. Yakking great cannon sticking out underneath. A brilliant kit, and it's because it's 48 scale, so it's kit 48228. 9.5 out of 10 from me, folks. Thank you very much to ICM for providing that. Great job there. Hope you'll all give me 10 out of 10 with a like and a thumbs up. They all count, you know. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it interesting and as enjoyable as I did. Another nice one, and yeah, I think that if ICM can carry on doing these sort of updating of these kits and with new moulded parts like that, where quite a lot of it is new, then I think that's going to be very popular indeed. I mean, retail price on this, again, I haven't actually checked it. I'm pretty sure it's around about the 45 to 49, £50 mark, something like that. But there's a lot of plastic in there. You're getting a lot for your money. Quite an enjoyable project, I think, you know. Just make sure you get yourself a mast set, okay? Anyway, thank you for joining me. Please stay tuned. There'll be more to come in the very near future, including more from ICM. Hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. Thanks very much for watching, and until we meet again, stay well, stay safe. Thanks for all your time. Take care. Bye for now.